Welcome to Toastmaster Time, the show that has everybody talking. My name's Steve Taddei, and for tonight's episode, I will be your host. Now, as with all Toastmasters meetings, we have prepared speeches and evaluations so the speakers can get feedback so their speech is even better the next time they give it. Tonight's evaluator is Carrie Kelly. Carrie, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you being here, and can you tell us what to expect from tonight's show?
We have two Toastmasters that will be sharing valuable insights about life and the power of connection.
Life and the power of connection. Well, that sounds fantastic. It's going to be a special show tonight, and I would like to introduce you to our first guest, Liubov Ananeva. Liubov, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Hi, Steve.
We appreciate you being here. You're with Island City Toastmasters, aren't you?
Yeah, that's correct.
And what brought you to Toastmasters?
Honestly, it was my fear of public speaking. And once my husband mentioned Toastmasters, and I Googled it, and I found a club, and I loved it, and I joined it. So here I am.
All right. And what is your favorite role or activity in Toastmasters?
My favorite role is being a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I love this process of crafting a speech from a tiny idea or tiny thought, and then the whole process to the complete speech, complete story, and how it happens. I love it.
All right, all right. And how has that helped you outside of Toastmasters?
What I've learned from Toastmasters, that it's okay to be vulnerable, at that storytelling has the healing power.
Mm-hmm.
And when you open your heart, people listen to you and they connect to you, and that's a great feeling.
All right, all right. Are you ready to give your speech now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right. Terrific. Well, we'll let you get into the speaking area. I will introduce the path you're on, your project, and your title.
Thank you.
All right. So you can go over to the speaking area now. Liubov is on the dynamic leadership path. She's on level 3, connect with your audience. Liubov Ananeva, the Rose Garden. The Rose Garden. Liubov Ananeva.
Life has a funny way of teaching you that sometimes it's the small things that count the most. All you need to do is stop and smell the roses. In August of 1996, my best friend Nadia was getting married. It's the perfect day every girl dreams of. Nadia spent 3 hours with the best hairstylist. And when she came back, her luscious long hair had been turned into a beehive, like Marge Simpson. She was horrified, mortified, and threatened to cancel the wedding. Cooler heads prevailed and convinced her that it wasn't that bad. They lied. It was horrible, but it was her wedding day. I took her hand and said, "We'll do it together." And Nadia entered the hall looking like she had just stepped out of a Vogue magazine. And the wedding went off without a hitch. A couple weeks later, I met Nadia. We laughed at her beehive fiasco and how caught up we got sometimes in the small things. We sat in her rose garden, our favorite place, to find some peace. We would often sit there and watch the sunset. The bright colors of the sun would shine through the tapestry of the red and white roses. The rose garden was our favorite safe place. Over the years, our friendship would blossom and enrich our lives. Of course, we had our ups and downs, but in the end, our friendship was what mattered. Yet nothing would prepare me for what happened next. On a warm evening on May 2013, while sitting in the rose garden, Nadia flipped my world upside down. She had just found out she had stage 3 ovarian cancer. My heart sank. This was my best friend who had been there for me for so many years. Ironically, the first thing she said to me was, "Do you know what terrifies me the most? That I will lose my hair." Then tears poured down her face. I quickly reminded her of her infamous beehive, and tears turned into laughter. I took her hand and said, "We'll do it together." Eventually, after chemo, her hair did fall out. I kept my promise to be there and shaved my head. I looked like G.I. Jane with glasses. We took pictures, crying and laughing together. I forgot.
Take a deep breath and speak.
We took pictures, crying and laughing together. Whenever things got too much for her, we would return to the rose garden, embracing those precious moments together. What precious moments have you shared with someone you care for? The following year, her hair grew up, looking even stronger than before. She believed she had beaten the odds, and we celebrated the years of life. Until that crisp, cold morning I will never forget. That early morning, Nadia's daughter called to let me know that my best friend, the beautiful flower I called her, had withered away. My heart sank again, wondering if I would be able to carry on without her. Though time has passed, I still miss her, but those small moments matter the most to me. Unforgettable evening in that very garden, the unwavering strength we found in each other, and the endless tears of joy we shared. Someone once said, the best portion of life will be those small, nameless moments you spend smiling with someone who matters to you. Who are you able to share those small, nameless moments with? Recently, I went to a wedding, and when I saw the bride, she reminded me of Nadia. Recently, I went to a wedding, and when I saw the bride, she instantly reminded me of Nadia. How beautifully she looked that day. I couldn't help but smile, knowing Recently, I went to a wedding, and when I saw the bride, she instantly reminded me of Nadia. I couldn't help but smile, remembering how beautiful she looked that day. I still visit the rose garden every once in a while. Smell the roses, sit to watch the sunset. Its warm glow makes me smile, knowing that we were always there for each other. We always found a way to turn tears into laughter, and we always did it together.
All right, Liubov. Thank you for the inspiring speech. Carrie, can you give us your thoughts on the speech and how you felt about it?
Wow, what an inspiring speech, and it definitely has me appreciating those small moments. And you brought back some memories. She brought back memories about my bad hair day on my wedding day too. This was a very powerful speech. It really runs the gamut of emotions. There's humor, there is sadness, and there's appreciation. If I would have a stretch goal, I would say to really speak from the place of vulnerability, or just from the heart, speaking from the heart. Beautiful speech.
All right. Well, thank you, Carrie. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease...
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Welcome back to Toastmaster Time. I am pleased to introduce our second speaker, Elaine Lung. Elaine, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Excellent.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being here. Now, you're with Speakers Forum Toastmasters, aren't you?
That is correct.
What brought you to Toastmasters originally?
Fear and a job change, which led me to, on day one of the new job, talk to someone about joining the Toastmasters Club at that new company, and I just said yes, and I didn't even think about it.
All right.
Because I was so afraid of speaking.
Well, you came to the right place. Now, what has been your favorite role or activity with Toastmasters?
Well, I found that I love speech analysis. So it's the evaluations, the feedback, and being supportive and coaching other speakers.
Right. How has that helped you outside of Toastmasters?
Well, I've turned it into a business. So I'm a presentation skills expert. I let the fear of speaking turn into a passion for speaking, and now I help other people overcome their fears of speaking.
A passion for speaking,
Yeah.
help other people overcome their fears. Are you ready to give your speech tonight?
I am.
All right, terrific. Well, I'll let you go over to the speaking area. I will introduce the path you're on, your project, and your speech title.
Great.
All right, terrific. Elaine is speaking from the Dynamic Leadership Path. It's a level 3 project, understanding your communication style. Elaine Lung, the lemon factor. The lemon factor. Elaine Lung.
What's the most important part of a speech? Is it how you look, how you sound, what you say? I thought I had to bring everything to it and present it to the audience because that was the most important part of the speech, me and what I had to say. But as I progressed in my speaking education, I learned the most important part of a speech is the thought process in the mind of the listener. That's right. The most important part of a speech is the thought process in the mind of the listener. What is your audience thinking as you're speaking? Now, let me tell you a story about a communication lesson I learned last spring on a trip to the Amalfi Coast. My husband and I had saved up for years. We had waited out the COVID pandemic. We were dreaming about the beautiful Amalfi Coast in Italy. And finally, last spring, we were able to go. All the planning, all the maps, all the tickets, we were finally at the train station in Sorrento. And as we came out of the train station, I had a rollerboard, you know, one of those little suitcases, the little spinners, you tug, and he had one. And he said, you know what, I made a mistake. The hotel, the B&B, the bed and breakfast, it's not real close to the train station. In fact, we have to walk a little ways, and it's even uphill. I said, well, okay, I'm game. We'll just have to go slow, you know, because I got a suitcase here, and there's cobblestones, and all right. So we come out of the train station, and the first thing is, I want to go right where it's flat. No, we have to go left. Uphill. So we start climbing uphill, and he says, don't worry, Elaine. I mapped it out on Google Maps. There's a shortcut. We're going to go up the back streets, and we're going to cut through. There's a schoolyard here. I know we can get through, and it'll cut a whole 5 minutes off our trip. Okay. So we start going up the hill around the corner, and people are kind of looking at us, and I said, oh, this is we're tourists. That's just how it is. Going up the hill, coming through the schoolyard, and it's a big schoolyard. And I can see that the gate we're supposed to go through is way over there, and there's a big tent where I'm thinking, this is not going to work out. I said, honey, you just go check it out and come on back and tell me if it's open. And I sat there and looked around at all the other moms and waiting in their vans to pick up the kids and the school bus drivers who were all kind of going, check that out, tourist. Well, he came back, and guess what? The gate's locked. Great. So we had to come out. He says, that's all right, come back around. We got a footpath here. We'll go back out, down around, up the street. There's the footpath. All right, so we start going on the footpath. And at least it's a little level, a little break from going uphill. And then when you know, it comes to this point, and there's one of those little signs with the red circle and the slash through and some words in Italian. But I don't speak Italian. So I said, well, let's just keep going, huh? And we kept plowing through the footpath, and he takes off around the bend and goes, and sure enough, I'm following a little slower, and there's 3 buff Italian guys with shovels, and the cobblestones are all over the place, and sand piles everywhere. And you know, the Samsonite ads don't tell you that the little wheels don't go through the dirt piles. So I got to the point I had to pick it up, and one of the buff guys says, oh, ma'am, do you need some help? And I was so embarrassed. I said, no, I got it. It's all his. Was there a guy? It's his fault. I got through there and got to the street. And my husband's there, and he's like, we got to go up the street now. And by the way, the street, it's like a canyon. There's like a lane for the car and a lane for the car, and they're going back and forth, and they are not going slowly. And there's about 2 feet for me to walk between there and a 9-foot stone wall with lemon trees up on the top, because it's Sorrento, and there's a lot of lemon trees in Sorrento. So I'm hoofing up the hill, dragging the suitcase behind me, and he goes up and around the bend. Great. Well, I'm just gonna go slow. I'll know I'll get there. And finally, I got to a flat spot, and it was kind of a bus stop, and there's no sign of my husband anywhere. I can go up the hill some more. I can go kind of up the hill and to the right, or back down the hill, which was looking kind of tempting. But I just sat down and waited, and here he comes around the bend. I found it, Elaine. Oh, thank goodness. Go up around the bend, and it was right there. We go through the gate, and I'm thinking, this was a mistake. We should have taken an Uber. Wow. Will you look at the view? There's the ocean and the sea, and it's incredible. And look at the houses coming down the hillside to the ocean. And lemons, lemon trees everywhere. Oh, it was worth every pebble stuck in my shoe and in my rollerboard wheel. This is amazing. And I realized it was worth the trip. And as we relaxed and laughed about what had just happened, I realized too that communication isn't just about the words we say, it's the mindset that we have as we communicate. It's how we support each other as we climb a hill together. It's how we stay together as a team and make it happen and reach our goal. So I know we want to influence a lot of people. But remember, it's not just what you say. It is also the mindset that you bring to the words that you're saying that communicate and influence the thought process in the mind of your listener. It's the lemon factor.
All righty, Elaine, thank you very much. And we are pleased to have Carrie Kelly back with us. And Carrie, can you tell us your thoughts on the speech, what you liked about it?
I loved it. I loved the story about how her husband, he just knew where he was going, and he's getting lost and getting turned around, but she's right there with him. That was awesome. And then the lemon trees and the view. After all of that work, it was worth it. And when you're doing the speech and you're speaking to people, and you have to make sure that their mindset is right there with you. Well, I was right there with her. I was walking up those hills and getting pebbles in my shoe. I was right there with her. So I really appreciate this.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. Do you have a stretch goal or something that you could suggest, Elaine?
I think the stretch goal would be to talk about a little bit more about how how long the journey actually was. Like, give us some time frames, like 20 minutes later, or 3 blocks later, or something to put some perspective on how long and how far the journey was.
That's an interesting thought. And your 2 evaluations tonight is the essence of Toastmasters, because we give feedback, and we can give feedback on an excellent speech, and both speeches were excellent.
Definitely.
But there might be one little bit of information that we didn't get that will make the speech even better next time, even though it was really good tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely, yes.
Right. So, well, that's great. Now, we got to know a little bit about Liubov, and we got to know a little bit about Elaine. You're with Worldwide
Leaders Worldwide.
Leaders Worldwide, aren't you?
Yes.
Right, right. And what brought you to Toastmasters?
I just like to talk. I like to give speeches, and I have a message about child abuse prevention that I wanted to share and spread.
Mm-hmm. So the first 2 speakers had a little bit of fear. They joined Toastmasters. You knew that you wanted to speak. You were looking for a place to deliver the message that's burning in your soul.
Absolutely.
All right. All right.
Absolutely.
And aside from speaking, what has been your favorite role with Toastmasters?
I actually like being the Toastmaster of the day. That is like my favorite thing, because I get to be like the MC and introduce everybody and everything. And yeah.
That's what I get to do tonight.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And how have these activities helped you outside of Toastmasters?
Well, it's the confidence and the ability to practice my message and really get connected as I share my message, to make sure that I'm connecting with the audience, because I really want them to feel where I'm coming from so that child abuse can be prevented.
Mm-hmm. What kind of types of organizations have you spoken to?
I go wherever. I get on podcasts, I've done radio shows, I've written books, I have a one-woman show that I perform, so I put it out there, but I mostly work with the Santa Clara County Child and Family Services now. I share my story with brand new social workers that are finishing up their training to start working for Department of Family and Children's Services.
All right. Terrific. And what is next for you as far as delivering the message? Are there places outside of Santa Clara County that you're looking to go? Or we live in a virtual world right now. Are you talking in different areas or different parts of the country?
Right now, I've just started working on my next level one-woman show, and once I perform that, it will go virtual, and hopefully it will go viral.
All right. Where can we find out about that?
Voicesofresilience.com. That's my website.
Okay. Voicesofresilience.com. Well, that's terrific. We hope you come back and we can get you on the show again.
Yes.
So that's our show for tonight. We appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight and everybody who's watching. Toastmasters TV is recorded in the San Francisco Bay Area, and you can find out more about it at toastmasterstime.com. We're sponsored by District 57 Toastmasters. You can find out more about District 57 Toastmasters at d57tm.org. You can find out more about Toastmasters International at toastmasters.org. You can actually find a club that's convenient for you wherever you live. On behalf of everybody at the Palo Alto Media Center, we are grateful for our staff and our talented volunteers that make this all possible, and our fantastic speakers, Liubov, Elaine, and our evaluator, Kelly. From all of us at Toastmaster Time, we encourage you to join Toastmasters and keep on speaking.